Join us as we dive into some of Neville Goddard's never-before-heard radio talks from the 1950s, which until now have remained unpublished on any digital platform. Today's session focuses on acknowledging the greatness within ourselves. Get ready to delve into one of Neville Goddard's most enlightening discourses on how our prayers find answers. Have you ever witnessed the response to a prayer? What wouldn't people give to know for certain that their prayers will bring forth a tangible outcome? Therefore, I want to take a moment to explore why some prayers are answered while others seem to vanish into thin air. When praying, it's essential to believe that what you've asked for has already been granted. This belief is a fundamental requirement for mankind. Without faith that what is requested will be given, the prayer remains unanswered. An answered prayer implies that something has been set in motion as a result of the prayer, something that otherwise would not have happened. Thus, the person praying becomes the initiator, the director, and the grantor of the prayer. However, this burden of responsibility is something many are reluctant to accept, as it seems to be humanity's hidden burden. The entire world operates under natural laws, but between prayer and its answer, we fail to see such a connection. We tend to believe that God might choose to heed or ignore our pleas, that our prayers might succeed or fail. The human mind struggles to accept that God operates under his own set of laws. How many believe in the causal connection between prayer and its response? Let's consider the method used to heal the 10 lepers, as narrated in chapter 17 of the Gospel according to St. Luke. What's remarkable about this account is the strategy used to elevate their faith to the necessary level. We're told that the lepers begged Jesus for mercy, that is, for their healing. Jesus instructed them to go and show themselves to the priests, and on their way, they were healed. According to Mosaic law, a cured leper had to be examined by a priest to certify their recovery. Jesus tested their faith and provided a means to elevate it. If the lepers refused to go, they demonstrated a lack of faith and, therefore, could not be healed. But if they obeyed, the full realization of their act would manifest in their consciousness on the way, and this powerful thought would heal them. Thus, we read they were healed as they went. You've probably heard the words of that inspiring hymn, "Oh, what peace we often forfeit, oh, what needless pain we bear, all because we do not carry everything to God in prayer." This conviction came to me through experience, leading me to ponder the essence of prayer. I believe in the practice and philosophy of what is called prayer, though not everything termed as such is truly prayer. To pray is to lift the mind towards what is sought. The first step is always to ascend, to direct the mind towards the desired outcome. This is achieved by assuming the feeling that the wish has already been fulfilled. How would you feel if your prayer were answered? Well, adopt that feeling until, in your imagination, you live what you would in reality if your prayer were answered. To pray means to act mentally. It involves holding the attention on the idea of the wish fulfilled until it completely occupies the mind and displaces all other thoughts. To say that praying is to act mentally and hold the attention on the idea of the wish fulfilled until it completely occupies the mind does not imply that prayer is a mental effort. On the contrary, prayer is opposed to an act of will. To pray is to surrender, it's giving oneself over to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. If a prayer goes unanswered, something is amiss in the prayer, and usually, the issue lies in too much effort. Equating the state of prayer with an act of will, instead of contrasting it, leads to considerable confusion. The golden rule is to avoid effort, and by adhering to it, one will intuitively fall into the correct attitude. Creativity is not an act of will but a deeper receptivity, a sharper sensitivity. Accepting the desired outcome, the acceptance of the prayer answered, finds the means for its realization. Stay in the state of the answered prayer until it fills your mind and displaces all other states of consciousness. We should not work on developing the will but on educating the imagination and stabilizing the attention. Prayer triumphs by avoiding conflict. Prayer is, above all, simple. Its greatest enemy is effort. Prayer yields to what is softest. The riches of heaven are not conquered by force of will but received as a free gift at the moment of surrendering to God, following the path of least resistance. Spiritual forces, like physical ones, travel. We must act under the premise that we already possess what we desire, for all that we long for is already present within us, merely waiting to be claimed, and that must be claimed as a necessary condition for realizing our desires. Our prayers are answered if we adopt the feeling of the wish fulfilled and persevere in that belief. One of the most beautiful examples of an answered prayer I've witnessed occurred in my own living room. A delightful lady, visiting from out of town, came to speak with me about prayer, as she had no one to leave her 8-year-old son with. She brought him along, and throughout our discussion, he seemed wholly absorbed in playing with his little truck. However, at the end of our conversation with his mother, he declared, "Mr. Neville, I now understand how I should pray. I know exactly what I want, a collie dog, and every night, before I go to sleep, I can feel myself hugging it in my bed." His mother explained to both him and me the reasons why his request was impractical: the cost of the dog, their living space constraints, and even the challenge of properly caring for it. The boy looked at his mother with simplicity and said, "But Mom," and he persisted in his wish. 2 months later, during an awareness campaign on animal care in their community, students were invited to write an essay on how they would take care of a pet. As you might guess, his essay was chosen from among 5,000 entries, and as a prize, awarded by the city's mayor, he received a collie puppy. The boy had fully embodied the feeling of his wish fulfilled, feeling and loving his dog every night before sleep. Prayer is an expression of creative love, the central theme of my next lecture on Sunday morning at 30 in the Foxwell Theater, located on Wilshire Boulevard near El Kaga. My aim is to explain how you, just like this young boy, can immerse yourselves in the sweet imagery of your desires and stand firm in your prayers, even when, like the boy, you are told your wishes are unattainable. The significance of persistence in prayer is revealed to us in the Bible. If anyone goes to a friend at midnight and says to him, "Friend, lend me 3 loaves of bread, for a friend of mine has arrived on a journey, and I have nothing to offer him," and from inside he answers, "Do not trouble me, the door is now shut, and my children and I are in bed. I cannot get up to give you anything." I tell you, even though he will not get up and give him anything because he is his friend, yet because of his persistence, he will rise and give him whatever he needs. Luke 2. The word used for persistence implies a shameless audacity. We must insist until we feel fully in the desired situation. Success lies in perseverance. The soul that imagines an action assumes the outcomes of such action. Without this mental image, it is exempt from its consequences. Live in your mind what you wish to experience in reality as if you already are who you desire to be, and you will assume the outcome of that act. If not, you will remain unaffected by its consequences. When praying, believe that you have already received, and so it shall be. One must persist until reaching that higher state of consciousness, persist until the feeling of the wish fulfilled is as vivid as reality itself. Prayer is a lucid dream in a state of wakefulness. To pray effectively, we must set our attention on how the world would appear if our prayers were answered. Directing attention does not require special skills, but it does require control over our imagination. We extend our senses, observe how our relationship with the world changes, and trust in this new perception. The new world is not to be grasped, but to be felt, touched. The best way to perceive it is by being intensely aware of its presence. In other words, by listening as if we were hearing and seeing as if we were seeing, we can genuinely hear and see from within what would otherwise be unheard and unseen. With our focus on the desired state, the external world fades, and then the world, like music before a new score, harmonizes all its dissonances. Life is not a battle, but a surrender. Our prayers are answered not by the efforts we make, but by the forces we invoke. While the eyes see, the soul is blind, for the world that moves us is the one we imagine, not the one around us. We must surrender completely to the feeling of being the person we wish to be. If anything is held back, the prayer is of no value. Often, we deprive ourselves of our greatest desire by the eagerness to possess it. We are invited to act as if we already are who we wish to be. By doing so effortlessly, living in imagination what we would live in the flesh upon achieving our goal, we find that, in fact, we already possess it. The healing power lies in our attitude. We need to change nothing except our attitude towards it. Embody a virtue if you do not possess it. Embody the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Pray for my soul. More things are wrought by prayer than this world dreams of.